I'm getting a late start today, and I'm not mad about it. Hi everybody, today is Monday, February 18th, and I'm continuing my Plan As You Go month where I show you how I use my bullet journal, my Erin Condren horizontal, and my power sheets together for an entire month. Today, like I said, is Monday. It is President's Day here in the United States. My kids don't have school today, my husband doesn't have work, and I'm doing this, and then I'm going to spend some of the day with my husband and RJ. Katie actually has rehearsal all day. I'm not expecting to get a lot of time with Katie. I need to set up my bullet journal for the week, get my priorities kind of lined up. Tomorrow will be a little bit heavier on the planning because it'll be my first full work day of the week. And I have some questions from you guys as well that I will answer. First thing I'm gonna do is check off stuff in here and I'll talk about it. So I did not manage to get anything done on here. You'll see on my to-do list from yesterday, I didn't get very much done at all. I said yesterday I wasn't feeling great. That video also took me like 2.5 hours to edit, which sucked up a big chunk of my day. I stuck to my meal plan. The kids got some laundry done. Other than that, I really didn't get too much done yesterday, and I'm not really hating it. I feel like I needed to kind of take a step back, but I will want to take a look at this and figure out what I need to do this week. So I will pull this back over when I'm working on my task list for the week. That shirt does not fit you. Try it. Did you not do your laundry? Do you not have any other shirts?
I have other shirts.
Why'd you change your shirt? That one does not fit you. So here is my day. I also need to pay myself today, something I haven't done yet. So I'm gonna slap a payday sticker on here. Normally I do this on the 15th, and for some reason this week I have just been not on the ball. I wonder why that is. Maybe it was because my week was so annoying that shit just was not happening. I mean, that's kind of been the theme of everything. I've got a church deadline today, so I just have to double check and make sure I don't have anything else to send. I think I sent everything, but I need to double check. My patron post has already gone live for the day. Katie has rehearsal. I need to upload my podcast. I was supposed to do that yesterday and I didn't, so that's definitely a number 1 on here. And then the rest of the day is just gonna be spent hanging out, I think, and doing some more housework because we didn't get the big chores done yesterday. So I dropped a couple munchkins on here for the podcast and for hanging out with my husband and my son, and then I wrote laundry on here. And that's all I'm gonna get done in my Erin Condren today. I had a couple of questions kind of pertaining to my Erin Condren. I wanted to add something on here as well. One of those was from Sonia. She said, I'm new to horizontal planning. How do you avoid running out of room on busy days? If I know a day is going to be busy, I avoid using stickers and a bunch of frou-frou shit and big lettering, and I kind of leave it as open as possible so that I can put in as much as possible. If a day becomes busy, I've already laid it out. That's why I use my bullet journal. And I just don't worry about my planner. But when I was only using my Erin Condren, I'd often just shove a Post-it note or something on it and make a list there. I'm not afraid of making it look kind of janky and cluttered and all over the place, as long as I get everything done. And as I'm glancing at this, there's another question that I actually had to kind of think about. It was something I hadn't really contemplated, from Karen Wood. She asked, why does I put the washing of the sheets on my planner every week, but I don't put any of our other chores on there, aside from big chores occasionally? And I had to think about that. And then I realized it's because more than any other chore that we do, if I miss a day on washing my sheets, I get so grossed out. I like having them done 1 week. And so by always reminding myself on Saturday, it just means that I'm gonna try and make it a priority. Every once in a while, we have to push it to Sunday or Monday, and it just grosses me out so bad that that one, more than anything else, I feel needs to be done like clockwork, and so I have to keep reminding myself so that I don't forget. The other chores I really don't give as much of a shit about. We do them and we get the house cleaned as we need to, but the timing is a lot more flexible. But I had to think about that because it occurred to me, I was I'm not really sure why, and then I realized it's because the thought of going to sleep on more than a week old sheets really gives me the skeevies. I just don't like it. What was that, Jess? Why were you giving me that look? Somebody asked a question.
Not that gross, am I?
No, it's not that we're gross. It's just, sweat and stuff. I get hot flashes. The smell of our hair oils and stuff on the pillow. The pillow starts.
You don't like the smell of my hair oil?
I'm referring to my pillow. All right, I think I am done with my Erin Condren for the day, so I'm gonna just set it to the side and pull out my bullet journal so I can start getting it set up for the week. I fill in my pain tracker for today, and I actually got another really interesting question from Jada Johnson. She was wondering, how does my family help me feel more comfort when I'm having a rough day due to my chronic illness? I have a friend who also has a chronic illness, and on her rough days, I don't know what to do for her to make her feel better. That's a really sweet question, and I had a decent day last night. I mean, my morning was sucky, but I managed to get through it the rest of the day, so I'm marking it as a good day. One of the biggest things my family does is they give me space. They let me like just relax, and it's not something you can necessarily do for your friend, but like I always feel like I'm slacking off if I'm not, you know, doing stuff around the house or cleaning or whatever the case may be. Like I feel guilty for not doing all the things. And one of the things my family does when I'm not feeling great is not only pick up the slack, but they remind me that it is okay that I'm not doing all of the things. And I need constant reminders because I'm, you know, constantly guilt tripping myself. That really helps. And the other thing that really helps is just checking in and seeing if I'm okay. It's amazing how much just a kind word or showing that you're thinking of them, like, you know, checking in, do you need anything? Can I get you some soup or whatever the case may be? Or just was thinking about you. You want me to come over and binge watch Netflix with you? You know, not asking you, how are you feeling? Because that is a question that just is exhausting to answer. Just checking in on your friend to remind her that even with her chronic pain, you still see her as a person and you would love to treat her like a person, just a person who's having a bad day. Little things like that. If you and your friend love going to a certain coffee place, or if you love, you know, going out to a certain place, maybe offering to bring some takeout or something, or asking if you can, you know, is there any errands you want me to run? Things like that, just to show you're thinking of them and that you're aware that they're having a bad day, but not putting the focus on their bad day, but putting the focus on wanting to, you know, treat them, make them feel good about themselves. And I applaud you for wanting to help, because that's a big thing. All right, I'm gonna do my doodle for the day. It is maca. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm not even sure what that is. I pulled some of these from a list of aphrodisiacs. I feel like that might be the only one I don't know what it is. Peruvian ginseng. Okay. Kind of looks like a lumpy turnip, according to the picture I'm looking at. This is actually a really great segue into one of the other questions I got, which was from Tatiana. I believe I said that right. I said, yeah, I was just wondering when you do your daily doodles, if you have a reference picture, if you use a reference for something you don't see every day, and how do you know how big to make each doodle? With the foods, I don't usually need to use reference pictures because I doodled a lot of these a lot at Trader Joe's, like a lot. I had to draw them a shit ton for part of my job. So these guys are not hard for me to pull from my memory, except for like maca, something I'm not really familiar with. When it comes to characters and things like that, I do use reference pictures. It helps me get better at the act of doodling. I'm not trying to sell this or anything. With this particular challenge, I haven't really needed to do that all that much. As for how big to make them, I've done this enough times now where I'm starting to get used to the idea of how much will fit in a certain spot. I've gotten to the point sometimes where I've doodled and the last couple are tiny and you can't even see them. Erring on the side of smallness, especially towards the beginning, can be helpful if you're doing it this way, because then you have more room when you're doodling later, as opposed to starting really big and then having to get smaller and smaller. One of the biggest situations I got myself into was when I was doing the Disney villains. I overestimated how much space I should leave for Captain Hook's hat. And there was too much hat. And it took up a huge amount of space in my doodle. That was one of the times where I feel like maybe I fucked that up a little bit. But in general, I try to err on the side of caution. Go smaller rather than bigger when you're starting. And then if you get towards the end and you realize you have all this extra space, then by all means get bigger. But the more you do it, the better you'll get at figuring out placement and how much space you may need. And ultimately, what it is doodles. So if you fuck it up and it looks kind of janky, it's the whole point is practice. It's not to create, you know, like some fucking Van Gogh or some shit. Like you're supposed to be, this is supposed to be practice. This is a lot more of a pain in the ass than I expected. That actually probably took up way more space than I should have, speaking of too much space. But this is supposed to be practice, so remember to view it as practice. Don't view it as trying to get everything perfect, because then you're gonna, that whole saying about letting the perfect be the enemy of the good, hi kitty, that can easily happen with doodling and it kind of misses the point. I'm gonna check over everything I got done and did not get done this past week, and then we'll get the week set up before I bullet journal and do my lettering. Checked off everything on here that I could check off, and basically nothing that was on here got finished yesterday, so that's gonna get moved, and these really need to get done. Hopefully both of these today. That would be nice. All right, so I'm gonna just get my week set up on these pages, and I'm just gonna keep doing the same thing I've been doing. I'm really liking it, and why fuck with it if it's not broken? I keep trying to put 1 as in if this is January instead of February, and I don't know why. I'm like in the time warp right now. All right, now that that's all put in, today's lettering challenge is no diggity. All right, I'm going to pull these two big things first because obviously they still need to be done. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to answer a question from Amanda, who said, since your church caters to so many people with such a variety of faith backgrounds, what do your sermons focus on? If I were to attend your church, what would I expect to hear about? It varies greatly depending on the UU church and on the minister. For the longest time when we had our previous minister, a lot of our sermons had to do with science and how it relates to faith, because our minister had a doctorate in cellular biology or something, one of those biologies, like a research doctorate. She also leaned pagan, so a lot of our sermons had that kind of a flavor to them. When I give sermons, they're often social justice oriented. We had a guest speaker the past week ago, like a couple weeks ago, who talked about the garden of the soul and how, listening to other viewpoints, maybe not agreeing with them, but at the very least trying to recognize where someone might be coming from, even if you strongly disagree with them, helps broaden your soul because you're not closed off to listening, even if you strongly disagree. It could run the gamut. Some sermons tend to be more Christian-based depending on the minister. Some tend to not be Christian-based at all. Some tend to be UU history. Some tend to be about other concepts. I remember one sermon I really enjoyed was one about death positivity, which is now something that we have and monthly events at our church to talk about approaching death as a natural part of life as opposed to something scary, and talking about, quality of life versus quantity of life, and how do you make those choices? Why do people only start thinking about those things when it's imminent? I find often that when I go in, even if it's a sermon topic I may not be interested in, I often walk away getting something out of it that I might not have expected. A whole bunch of different things though. Whole bunch of different topics, whole bunch of different kind of ways. It can lean philosophical, it can lean spiritual, it can lean more like intellectual. My suggestion would be, if you were ever interested in checking out a UU church, to go to their website and look at some of their previous sermons that they've had and the little blurbs that they have, especially if they have a regular minister. Look at their sermons, because then you'll get the idea as to what they talk about and whether or not it's something that you might be interested in. That felt like a total ramble. So we look back at this and other things I have not finished. And then I'm going to go to my monthly task list because I know there's a couple things on there that need to get done this week. And then I'm going to pull some stuff from my power sheets. This is actually already from my power sheet. That's from my power sheets. I think that might be my whole list. It's a lot of work with a couple of other things on there. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Okay, so let me get today scheduled out. Like I said, I've got a couple of work things to do, but most of today I want to spend just chilling out, hanging out. All right, there's one more question that I'm going to answer today, and it's from Athena. How do you feel about scheduling sex for a busy couple who's been together for a while? This is going to be some real talk here. This is going to be some real talk. When you're exhausted, whether you have a chronic illness or not, whether you have to deal with that, whether you're just tired because there's a lot of shit happening, which is for a lot of us, sometimes the last thing you're going to want to do is get busy. Because the way I look at it, sometimes I just want to go to sleep because sleep is glorious. When you start leaning really heavily into the land of just reclaiming your sleep and not being in the mood, it becomes easier and easier to keep being that way. And that's somewhere that I've been a lot of the time. So by scheduling something, it's not that you're saying, oh, my life is so not spontaneous, I have to schedule everything. Instead, what you're doing is you're prioritizing something that may be integral to your relationship to maintain closeness. One of those fake it till you make it, not fake having fun, but to get yourself kind of out of that rut of just being too tired all the time and reconnect and maybe find something. I find that even when I've been not feeling it for quite some time, when it does happen, after I'm oh man, why did I wait so long? Do you know what I mean? And so if you're finding yourself in a place where it just keeps not because you're just both so tired and busy and whatever, schedule it. See what happens. You may find that it helps reignite something, or at the very least, it makes you feel okay, good, we did something, I don't know. It's really easy to forget what it feels like to be a brand new relationship or to be really excited about something when you're exhausted and life has hit you between the eyes. Remembering that you're in this for the long haul with somebody, even if you have to schedule it. I don't think it at all diminishes any kind of romance or anything, because it shows you're making it a priority for yourself, even if you have to kind of push yourself to get there in the first place. I have no idea if that made sense or not. I am not an expert at this by any means. My goodness, Loki. I think I've got everything on here for the day. I've already checked 2 things off that we already did. I like doing that. I had to move my meal plan around, and so I'm doing the fried chicken tonight, and I got to remember because it needs to marinate for like an hour, so I got to remember to get it in on time. But the rest of this is just my regular shit. Tomorrow I'm going to spend a little bit more time really thinking about my work week, but for now it's just getting some laundry done and probably playing some video games. That's probably going to happen today. That's probably going to happen pretty soon after this is done. For today's question, I would actually like to go back to Karen's question about why I put washing my sheets in my planner and not any of my other chores, because it really did have me stop and really think about it when I did. And so I want to ask you guys, is there some kind of a house chore or something, part of your routine that you need to do every week that you need to make sure you do, otherwise you feel like your life is just falling to pieces? For me, it's having clean sheets every week. But what about you guys? Is there something like that for you in your weekly chores, in your weekly cleaning routine, whatever the case may be? Is there something that like has to get done? If nothing else gets done, that thing needs to get done to keep you feeling good about life. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in tomorrow's Plan As You Go video.